Ben Clatterbuck.
Hey.
Yes, it's like the wave. It's like the virtual wave. There we do it. How are things, man? How's the day?
Good. It's been a busy day. I keep thinking today's like a Thursday with how busy it is. I'm like, oh no, it's only Tuesday. It's Coffee Experts Day.
Man, it's only a Tuesday. Yes, yes. Oh, Coffee Experts Club. Good to see everybody that's tuning in. Our very own Drew Moody is probably not going to join us today. If he does join us, he'll join us late. But he is on location in Belize, which is pretty awesome. For those of you who don't know, I think I talked about it a couple weeks ago, but in case you missed that, we're into our first Coffee Experts Elite that's international, our first international client that is taking us off of our normal US based soil. The majority of what Coffee Experts does is in Pacific Northwest. Obviously, that's where the majority of our coffee is. The crib of coffee, as we say,
Yes.
at least the way we do it with fast coffee drive-through. Except for Outsider, right? We've got Outsider that's now over on the East Coast as well, which is kind of pierced over that direction. But we've never really done it on foreign soil. Never really taken the concept someplace else. And how bad am I loading, Ben? Are you losing me?
You're better now.
Internet okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So I'll continue to shut things down on my side, Ben. You don't have to run the world. So anyway, we haven't done a lot of outside of the nation. Obviously, it's something pretty new. I think probably coffee, the way we do it outside the nation, is pretty new anyway. We have gotten an opportunity to take Coffee Experts Elite down to Belize with a new coffee client down there called De los Mayas. So of the Mayans, Mayan coffee. So pretty excited about that opportunity. Just an opportunity to go down and do some consulting, for Coffee Experts Club Elite. We had Drew just up in Montana last month, and then he took a quick vacation, and then now he's on to his next one. Down in Belize, and he's just kind of getting things started, which has been a totally new set of curveball for us. Ben, I know you and I have opened up, well over a dozen coffee shops together, into the dozens of coffee shops together. So we have our smart sheet and we work through it really systematically. And, it's like each phase is built on a set number of weeks by our prescribed standard of how long it takes to get things through each level. But this one has been different.
I can't imagine. Like it's always a slower pace down there. Like I can't imagine. I thought we had to deal with slow paces with the contractors up here. Can't even, like, what's it like down there?
Well, I will say this, and it's actually pretty surprising. So, because I think that there's just a lot of things in the States that are like safety nets, right? There's a lot of check and balances, with the state. With the city, with the health department, with like all these different things that required levels of bureaucracy, right? Like turn in all these forms. We're in the middle of right now with Human Being Reno with their location. Health department asks for all of these particularities that really, in all honesty, it's just check boxes, right? They're just they're probably not even going to use half the information they're collecting, but the information takes a while to put together. What's the load ratio on this many machines based upon how much, what's the cubic feet on your walk-in freezer, like all these crazy things that
your hot water heater, gas or electric. Like, why?
Is a municipality that's providing the sewer and the water, like things that it's like. It's not just a straight go to here to get said answer. It's a bunch of fact finding. Well, in Belize, you don't have to deal with that. In Belize, it's more just like, hey, are you licensed to be a business? And then have you found your space? Awesome. And then it's kind of just like, well, I hope that works out for you. You know what I mean? Like it's not a whole lot changing out. So I will say I have been really impressed and surprised with how good of speed we've been able to just transform a space, because we went, down there from this like open garage essentially into, no, it's being set up for the style of quick coffee. It's not a drive-through, but it's being set up as a drive-through style because they have every intention of going to more than just this one walking space, but it's a tourist walking space that they're preying upon, looking for Americans who,
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this before a little bit, but you know, like Americans are so funny how they want to get away to third world countries and just like enjoy just being in the tropical, and they just don't want to see any other Americans. They just want to enjoy them until they want their coffee their way, and then they're gonna bitch about it all the way up and down the street about nobody has their coffee the way they like their coffee. And so that's really what the De Las Mayas are really leaning into. So it's just a walk up, but it's fashioned around, you know, like fast style coffee. So Drew's down there consulting with hiring, train, just like we do for all the Coffee Experts Elite, you know, like hiring, training, raising up a manager, you know, helping them line out their menu, helping them get set up on their POS system, helping them get, you know, all the different things lined out with workflows in the shop as far as how things move the quickest, you know, to keep car times or cup, you know, times like low, you know, is the goal. But I will say some of the things that used to just like be long stretches for me and you actually have been cut pretty short in comparison. But what I think kills it is like anything that we might suggest that they carry that's not found in Belize that they're having to bring in, you know, they've got to import. Like it's the exact opposite of us, you know, like we bring in all of our coffee, but then, you know, we import coffee from really down there in the Belize area, you know, Central America area. But like we have everything else here in the States, you know, and it's just a matter of finding the right vendors, finding the right that. So we've been helping them try and find their vendors, but vendors are pretty few and far between in a place like Belize or in Central America. So a lot of the things they're bringing in come from other places. So then it's like, that's the long lead time, you know, is like some of the ambiance stuff, some of the decor stuff, some of the things that they're having to order on the Amazons or whatever that have to hit a port and then have to be imported in. Like that's a much longer lead time than us with Amazon. That like depending on what city you're in, you could.
Yep.
What do you want that tomorrow? Like you know, like that's different. So
I wonder how long of a lead time does that put on, like, say, like just a standard dry goods ordering? Because like I'm thinking up here, like we would dry goods order a week. You know, you order 2 days before, it shows up 2 days later. You know, from a local delivery truck. What's that sort of lead time on standard dry goods?
yeah, so I mean that has been a real pain as far as you know that we can get some things like some things Belize supply, some things Guatemala supplies, you know, there's some things that are there, but not like we know it here, you know, and we're trying to replicate what we know works, right? Because if you start messing with the secret sauce too much, are you going to get the same kind of results? That's you know, we feel like we've helped coffee shops all over the US, you know, mostly in the Pacific Northwest, but all over the place get to a certain standard of expectation on what your ROI is on investment in, you know, like if you come in with these amount of dollars and you set it up this certain way, almost like a franchise model, except for we don't take, you know, like a percentage from people. We're just helping people with setting up their systems. But I feel like we've got a pretty good science. We've gotten inside the underbelly of enough businesses, underneath the hood of enough different like POS systems to see reporting and to see financial reporting from, you know, their financial softwares that we can say with a pretty high level of accuracy, if you open up a store like this in this kind of an area with this kind of a traffic count, we can pretty much tell you what you're going to get on the backside from an ROI. But like as we go into these new places, like don't mess with the secret sauce too much. I mean, like be careful. Even something as silly as dry goods or supply and all those different things is no. I think you built an amazing tool of profitability per cup. Like so, cup sizes, that's really important. You know what I mean? And then like and all the different pieces that go into that. How much you paying for your cups? How much you paying for your lids? How much you paying for your sleeves? How much you paying for your straws? Like all that factors. So we've tried to stay to that, but downside being not all those things are available down there. I mean, not all those things are available around. So then you are talking about import. So then you are talking about long lead time. So, I mean, honestly, like 2 months, with some of that stuff. And so then we're ordering like a quarter at a time, you know what I mean? Instead of just, you know, like, yeah, weekly. So it's like the space, they did really good to think through having a big enough space that they could store a lot of stuff. You know, they're kind of treating this location as their training center / extra storage space so that when they do open up the smaller stands that are more drive through that might not have a lot of storage space, you know, and we're having to order that much at a time that they're holding it a little bit different. So,
and I wonder too, like, I mean, obviously, because I've been down in South and Central America quite a bit. We go to Costa Rica all the time.
Yeah, you do. Treehouse Adventures. That's what we call it. Ben's Treehouse Adventures.
I love Costa Rica, probably Belize too. But there's very distinct on tourism and off tourism seasons. So I'm sure that that comes to play too, even like ordering, for example, like, okay, if we're ordering a quarter out, are we ordering the start of a tourist season? Maybe we should increase the order by 25%, 30%, whatever it is, or we're ordering into the end of the tourism season. So we did bring that down. I'm curious to see how that all works out and just the learning process of, because here it's kind of like, okay, we're in summer, ice drinks, ice drinks, snow hits, now it's hot drinks. But there isn't that down there. It's just always hot. So it's more like there's tourism or there's no tourism. Like,
so that's exactly what I was thinking was, I feel like we've really mastered a calendar, right? As far as we do sales and reach goals for shops all the time, depending on their volume size, depending on what their average sales, average trans, average, like dollar per transaction. I feel like we've got a pretty dialed science on what we would recommend for any given month of the year, your predictability of sales to be, because that's how you're going to predict ROI. That's how you're going to predict like investment opportunity in the future. That's like really pour the gas on now, because we know that there's an opportunity to really boost sales here, really drop your cogs. Now look at this guy.
Speak of the devil.
Look at this guy. I feel like, yeah, boy.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on, Belize?
I just got done meeting with Mr. Cruz, our good friend down here. He's going to do our mural.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, so I was just telling, we were just talking about De Los Mayas and our newest coffee experts elite, Drew Davis in the house, or Drew Moody in the house. I love it. Drew Davis, thinking of now I'm crossing over other clients. I love it.
Mhm.
So anyway, we were just talking, Drew, about high times and low times, and how in the States, Ben was talking about, it's becoming to summer. We're ramping up into cold drinks, when we're coming into winter about this time, everybody's starting to talk. Okay, hey, make sure you're back on your steam milk. Make sure you're back on, that everybody understands, the hot drinks you need to put out, but how it's always hot down in Belize, or it's like it's not ever the same variance. But my hope would be, Ben, is that, and this is going to be something we just have to test in sales and reach goals, and what we're predicting for people is treating tourist season like we would treat maybe summer season, like spring to summer. And see if like some of it's kind of like a testing, like a vetting of things that we've been really in the practice of in the past, seeing how they're going to work now. But I think that's my hope. We'll see how it plays.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I think that sounds about right.
Go
ahead.
What is the tourist season like? Like, is it crazy in the tourist season and there's a really big noticeable drop off, or does it stay pretty consistent?
Yeah, no, my understanding is tourist season starts. They're shooting for an October 21 grand opening date. We'll see if we make it. I mean, that puts a lot of stress on Drew. So I think that we might push that back a little bit. They're not hard pressed for that. Tourist season doesn't really start full stride until mid to late November, really, as far as when you really start seeing volume. So we're trying to get our reps in, do some soft opening stuff, do some so they're not under full pressure of having, to produce drinks like that. And then it runs, my understanding is until about May, it starts petering off, like March, April, May is when it starts petering off, so and then I think they've got some different business strategies of things they're going to attack then, because I do think it really pretty substantially drops down, and so like, what else are they going to do in the buy times with maybe, special events, and catering gigs, and like just being like having a cart going places and doing stuff. I think is kind of how you keep right. How do you normalize? You want to try and create a normalized income so that it's not like spike and nothing, so I think that's kind of the plan.
One of the nice things about tourist season is they get dropped off right outside the store. The buses pull up 10 feet away and people just pile out of them and walk right past the storefront.
Oh man, that's
I think, building relationships with those kind of companies too, right? Like that's something that I've talked about a lot, is how, like, and even back in the days of roasters, even for us, of how do we partner with other businesses? How do we partner with other people that are going to funnel like people towards us? I think back of the old Liz Irwin days, of opening South regions. We partner with the hospitals. Like, how do we partner with the playing fields right behind us? Like, how do we get into the groove with some of that stuff where that's actually channeling volume towards us? I think that they're really taking the same mindset down there at De Los Mayas of how do we partner up with, like Drew was saying, the travel agencies? How do we partner up with the hotels? How do we get in front of Americans before Americans realize what they're looking for yet? And really bannering, hey, we know what you're looking for here, come here. You know, and then all the same things, all the same normal stuff, right? Of daily habit. How do we get them into a daily habit? Like, how do we, for us, you know, back here in the States, it's like dropping Timmy off at school, picking Timmy up from school. Like, how do we get into those things? You know, getting the high school kids to come in for, you know, their you know, super big energy drinks all hyped up. You know what I mean? Like, but like down there, I think it's more, you've got like a 7 to 14 day window of somebody going to be in town.
Yep.
How do we make sure for the next 7 or 14 days they come here for every time they're thinking coffee, you know, anytime they can.
And the nice thing is if you make that good impression that right when they get, like Drew said, dropped off the bus there, then you're immediately like that, oh, I don't have to think about where to go for coffee. Like if you're the first one, it's like first right out the gate and it was good, they're like, I'll just keep going back here. I don't have to worry about trying to like Google Maps somewhere, you know, I have to walk, you know, 4 or 5 blocks away. I know exactly where this is, so that's really smart. But partnering with the businesses too, like you got to think at this, it's great for America, for getting those Americans, but at the same time, those businesses aren't going anywhere. So those are going to be your primary customers during the off season of tourists. You know, they're still going to be there. So if you can get those businesses too to actually like your product, then you've got your consistent off tourism base, and then they're promoting your product when the tourists are coming. I think it's really smart. That's a way to go.
Yeah, local
area. The metro area here has actually quite a few people all the time walking around working. Everybody walks or drives right by us to go to work. So
what's
like
have you seen
almost on like a roundabout style.
Yeah, so much interest, Drew, and people walking by asking what's going on.
I can't get any work done. Yeah, asking when are we opening? Are we hiring? What are we doing? What's it like? What's our menu? Are we selling food? Things like that. Constant questions, constantly. And I mean, we've got over 60 applicants, so it's been for one little tiny flyer on the door. So that's happened a week ago, not even. So that shows quite a bit of foot traffic.
We did help them. We did help them push some stuff online too. I think that, you know, we've been trying, but I think it's just our normal jam. We're just taking it someplace else, you know. But I think it's been cool to see. You know, that's always encouraging, you know, like obviously the 3 of us have put a lot of time into Coffee Experts, and the whole Collab team has, but like, especially us 3, it's cool when you can start seeing some of the things that we've employed through the years, we've built through the years, we've created through the years, working someplace else so different, you know. And so I think we did some pretty cool stuff with helping them come up with how to find applicants. And it's just cool that, I mean, as Drew begins to do interviews, that he's got 60 people to choose from. Let's choose the best of the best. Let's get like the best of best in here, you know. But I mean, there could be some really cool stuff too, Drew and I've been talking about as well, of different kinds of jobs though too, because down there, something they don't have is like linen supply, like things that we take so for granted, you know what I mean, that we're going to have clean towels dropped off, you know, certain amount of days a week, and then they're going to pick up our dirty stuff certain amount of times a week, you know, like they don't have that kind of stuff there. So could we like create that kind of a position within De Los Mayas for them, where, you know, somebody's taken, you know, the rags that we purchased to someplace else to be laundered, bring them back, like, and even that become a position, or like some different things that I think could be cool. You know, Drew and I are still talking about some stuff along those lines to help them with that.
There's some little 13-year-old kid.
Even as simple as trash. There's not like a trash service that comes and there's no dumpster really nearby. So I was talking to Pedro, Mr. Cruz, and he was talking about there's people who will come by and they'll drive bikes by, and you know, they'll pick up your trash with their little cart and they'll take it for you for some money. But I mean, we could buy our own, you know, this how they could buy a little De Los Mayas cart, and we could do something like that ourselves within our own, you know, employment group.
That's funny. Yeah, a lot of things you don't ever really think of that you just take for granted up here.
You know what they don't do? Yeah, a lot of things, bro, like everything. So another things that like used to bust our balls all the times, like grease traps. Like that. No, nobody talks about a grease trap down there. What are you even talking about a grease trap down there? You know what I mean? But I will say the flip side of it is, like, the states do that for a reason. Like, you don't want to like chunk up your whole sewage system because nobody's thinking about how much dairy we're putting down a sink. You know what I mean? Like that, there are some things, you know, that have pain point implications. And so Drew and I've been really trying to think through for them, hey, this is something new. We're introducing something new here. How can we do it well? How can we do it right? How can we do it thinking from the end to the beginning? And how can we take out as much of the pain downstream as possible? So I think all those different things, but all the things you take for granted that are just like standards in the States, that you go someplace like Belize, that's amazing. Belize is incredible. Such what an amazing place. Drew's just seeing it for the first time, just got there yesterday. Drew, I'd love to give a couple minutes to just like what your thoughts are on it. But I feel like someplace so beautiful, someplace so tropical, someplace so incredible, but they're just not at the place the States is from standards wise, So, there are going to be other pain point implications. That there's no banking system that connects with the POS system in the country of Belize. Like that's a totally different business model. That's a totally different jam, and like all those different things you just have to take in consideration of how do we still make this work.
Interesting.
Yeah. Drew, tell us a little bit about Belize, bro. Tell us what you're thinking. Are you sweating standing in your living room? Because there's no.
You see me wiping my face constantly.
There's no air conditioning. Turn on your fan, bro. Get that thing going.
Just blows the hot air around, man. Belize is amazing. I finally got the experience of being somebody who gets off a plane and someone's holding their name on the sign. And I walked around like it wasn't me, just so I could experience it longer. And I was like, okay, guys, what's up? That's me. Then we drove in, and it's a very interesting place. I spent about an hour in the car with the gentleman, and he was filling me in on, the demographics and the community organizations and how that all works together. And really, really beautiful place and really industrious people. They're really hard workers, and they're really community oriented. So, I walk down the street and everybody says hi to me. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Hey, stay blessed. Things they have their things that they say. And, I feel really comfortable and welcome pretty much anywhere that I go. I go into the restaurants and everybody's like, everybody sees me and they're, hey, how you doing? Come on in, sit down. What do you need? Just really fantastic. Really interesting. I'm still learning a lot. Everybody I talk to has, tells me a story about where they come from and what they're doing. And that's the whole coffee jam, so they're already used to telling their stories and we don't have to pry it out of them. So it's going to be perfect customer base, I think, because the barista side of things is getting people to talk. And then our experience is not always open doors for a conversation. So, but yeah, I've only been here not even 24 hours. But so far it's been absolutely beautiful. And I've met some really, really great people, and it's hot. It's very hot.
It's very hot.
Very on the beach.
Very hot, very humid.
Very hot, very humid. Yeah, but the humidity is not as bad as it was in Texas. Let me tell you.
Really?
Yeah, not even close. I feel like I walked into it's just solid rain everywhere in Texas, and here it's gently humid, gently humid. And a lot of the buildings are built out of concrete because, it's humid, but we don't, it's not what we do up where we're from. So that's been something else that's interesting, is how to move electrical around and how to work the plumbing. And shout out to Coffee Republic. I'm wearing your gear right here.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, Jonathan, Robin, and Marty, all the guys doing amazing stuff up in Montana.
It's exactly the opposite reason, though, because it's so cold sometimes in Montana. All their plumbing is on the inside of the building. So here it's cement and it's hot and it's humid. So our plumbing is going to be on the inside of the building. So little tips and tricks I've learned along the way have helped quite a bit, and are still helping.
How do you reroute people through cement? You can't, right?
No. So Coffee Republic guys did a great job, Ben, and I'm tempted just to grab our stuff from WhatsApp, Drew, just to show some examples, but I did such a great job at lining out stuff along walls and like essentially like bracketing, chasing the walls, but making it look super clean and dialed in, but also really helps you when you're having problems too, right? You're not tearing apart walls, trying to figure out where the problem is. Makes it nice.
And it's clean, super clean.
Well, and theoretically, since it's all cement, you could just hose it all down every night, right? Spray it down.
That's true. And the Belizean pressure treated wood here is apparently much better than our American pressure treated wood because they're used to it. So
makes sense.
We'll put it to the test.
Yes. Did you tell us about the spot in the space? What'd you think of the spot in the space? How's that feeling to you? And how do you feel like they let us in to really speak into all this, right? So you designed the workflows, you designed the way the bench was going to go, you designed the way that where all the machines are coming in. That we're bringing in our own talent to help you set up the machines, right? As far as we've been in pretty much the driver's seat for all this stuff. Tell me how you're feeling about it.
I think we did an awesome job. Come on, of course.
Break my arm, patting myself on the back.
You just give me a stage to brag about myself and I'll go. No, it's a perfect space. It's not too wide. It's incredibly deep. So we have plenty of room to store whatever, and for future growth. Hopefully, I mean, we have all of our grand opening stock in there right now, and I could still play a game of soccer back there. So it's about 45 feet deep.
Oh, wow.
And we're just using the first, I don't know, 20 feet, maybe 25 feet ish. With a little, we did like a C-shaped bar. If you're looking at it, it's beautiful, beautiful crafted bar. They just actually built it and then moved it in there as one solid piece because it was just an empty space before. And they built like a little, almost more than a half wall behind it. So they're going to stick their logo on it. It's a nice accent wall. But as far as the bar goes, it's the perfect height and plenty of space through all the years, and trials and failures and successes that we've been through in designing some of these stands and spaces. Definitely failures. I've learned a lot, and so it's a good height, and we have plenty of room. I learned that one from Coffee Republic. More, too much room is never too much room when it comes to making coffee. As long as you can squish your machines together, it works out nicely. So I was in there today. We got a lot of our equipment, had it shipped in a refrigerated truck because that's just what we had available. So we got the ice machine in, and the fridge, and the sink, and just a bunch of paper products. And yeah, it's just looking like it's going to work out really nicely. And I situated some of the stuff around in there for workflow, and it's like my ideal workspace if I was to set up a bar my way, which I suppose I did that exact thing. So it's similar to what we had at Road 68, Ben, if you remember that.
Yeah.
But so you had the serving, if you're walking up to the drive-through windows, you had the serving area there, and then the whole bar alongside, and then the blender area in the back. Of course, situating fridges and ice machines differently in the boiler because we just have that type of freedom down here. But it's optimized workflow and optimized cleanliness other than the linen, but I think we have a solution for that. But yeah, I'm excited to get in there, and I'm excited to meet these 60 people. I don't know if I'll actually be able to meet them all, but get them in there and start training them up because, everybody has a little barista in them. All they need is
Well, I will say that's at least the applicants that I've been seeing, because obviously we did it all digitally. People are all applying digitally. It's all coming into sheets, so it's ideal for us, because we can just like cherry pick, highlight the ones that are going to be best, put together interviews for Drew. But at least the majority of the people I'm seeing, Drew, is there isn't a lot of barista experience. So I know that you've always said sometimes that's the better, right? Like it gives you just a blank slate, just a palette just to be able to create with and teach them the way you want them to learn.
That's exactly right. And honestly, some of their answers are super well spoken. We don't get those type of, they're really sometimes long-winded, but incredibly well worded sentences around why they want to make coffee and how it's going to benefit them and why they want to work with us. And it's certainly easier. Anyone who has a knack for doing what we do to teach somebody who has never been taught before how to do these things, because essentially you're working uphill if somebody has bad habits. Much harder to break bad habits than build new good habits, especially when it comes to something that what we do is so repetitive all the time. Sometimes you don't even think about what you're doing and you're made a whole cup of coffee. So those are the bad habits that are so subconscious, you have to break them. So I'm excited to get some fresh baristas, kind of like how it was in Montana. And all of those kids are really fantastic baristas, not because of me, not at all because of me, because of John.
Look at that. I love it.
I'm curious if you got any applicants or like previous bartenders or something along the line that might have experience that kind of translates over to coffee.
Generally speaking, they just say customer service, or I have a little coffee experience. No bartending yet, but we'll see. I'm sure.
Some people that mentioned working in cafes, though, like some of it, I wonder, I think people are trying to frame it the way they think we want to hear it. And I think as Drew gets into some of the interviews, he might find like what you're seeing, Ben, is that there is some stuff. Not everybody has a resume that they're giving us. We give them an opportunity to drop a link for a resume, but like depending on how much tech they have, how much they built on their own, these are still kids, like, right? The majority of people are looking for is that younger person. So we'll see. I mean, interviews are going to start next week. You know what I mean? So we'll see what Drew's got.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll come back next Tuesday and let you know how Monday went.
Well, Well, Drew, you got to take pictures for us, man. You got to send us what you're seeing, even if it's like random stuff, even if it has nothing to do with the shop. Like, I think it's so good for people just to see like what they're seeing. So,
Okay, I haven't yet because I just been.
oh, bro, you're running. You're running. I'm just like, who's handling all the machines? Oh, Drew. Oh, wait, who's handling all the setup, all the backstock, and all that stuff? Oh, Drew. And then, like, that was as Drew and I were talking back and forth. We're going to start a daily stand up, for the next couple of weeks, just to make sure he's in a good spot. Just because, like, all the things, Ben, that we took. Yeah, we've opened all these stores, but like, there were a lot of us that were in play. A lot of us doing a lot of different kinds of roles. And right now, it's Drew. Yeah, like Drew's down there fulfilling a lot of that. So trying to support him best we can with Collab Team up here. And then like pushing tasks down there for the things that can be down there and making some really good relationships. I hope Mr. Cruz sounds like a great like contact of knowing people, and he's like doing a mural, but he also is like mayor of a couple of cities down there, and like his whole family has been in like all like San Ignacio since like the whole family's been there all their lives, so it's like some really good contacts that I think are going to put us into people that know what they're doing. I know, shout out to my friend Gian, who I met when Megan and I went down there on a vacation trip. And we were at this resort, and he was the server at the table, and we started talking, and he's from San Ignacio, and I needed somebody to help me put up all those flyers and print some stuff out for me and get some stuff moving. And Gian connected me with somebody, his cousin actually, that works there, that printed everything up. ZV is his name. Like, he put the prints together for me, sent a print shop, went and taped it all up for me, sent me a picture. And like, I just think that kind of stuff of how can we work with people there. I know Drew, shout out to the shop that or the spot just down the street from us, that is, like does coffee, but it's a sit down cafe, different than our style coffee. Like, we want to build these relationships where we're referring people out to businesses that are around, realizing we're not like God's greatest gift. It's just De Los Mayas is something special there. And we're excited to make the owners down there proud of what they've got. And also complimenting the community too. So I'm excited. They've got a really cool donation model. Percentage of every cup's going to go back into the community. So I think that there's some really cool stuff they're doing that hopefully is that like heart and soul that we like to see knit into businesses. So
community binders, that's what coffee shops should be.
100%. And to realize that it's not about the competition, man. It's not about like find your niche, lean into your avatar, and really make sure that you're nailing that well, and realize there are other people out there that are nailing theirs well too. Speak well of them, and continue to bat at the balls that are pitched at you, so.
Amen to that.
Yes. All righty, gents. Well, I think we're done with our Q&A. Drew, I'm so impressed you jumped in. I told Ben at the beginning, I'm like, for all the stuff that Drew is under, I would be so surprised. Dude's unloading like refrigeration trucks. He's got everything looped in, meeting with electricians. So thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate you.
Happy to be here.
Okay, guys. And then Drew, I think next week we might take a little more of a tour once you've got some things set up and dialed in. We might even try and get some tour in if we can. If we can.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more presentable space. It's kind of like ground zero in there right now.
Sure.
All righty, guys. Well, I'll talk to you guys then next week on Coffee Experts Club. Drew, man, keep the faith, man. Be strong down there. Do awesome.
Thank you. All righty. See you guys.